Donald Mackerel from Donald Mackerel Gaming, doing a little bit of a bonus video for you because I recently did one on RPGs that aren't RPGs, or hidden RPGs, I suppose you'd call them, like covert ones, where if you called it an RPG, you'd get beaten to death in a games workshop by a load of angry, obese men. So what I want to do is I want to tell you my genuine top 5 RPGs. I've gone for, just to try and make it a little bit more interesting and a bit unlike everybody else's top 5 RPG video, I've gone for one RPG off a system. So I couldn't sort of like keep on picking. Everybody knows I love the Xbox 360. I couldn't just pick 5 Xbox 360 games. So I've had to really be finicky, which especially when it got to the 360 was so hard. I really had trouble narrowing it down because there's 2 obvious games on there that are probably the best RPGs ever, but they were multi-platform RPGs. I think you're already going to guess what it is. But anyway, let's get into my top 5. Here's a shocker for you. So I know people that watch the channel regularly will notice that I've got a gaming PC, a PC that can play games from about 10 years ago. It's ideal because I used to play this game on a laptop all the time. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I love the soundtrack to it as well. Everything about it is engrossing. And it's not your standard like modern day RPG. It very much is of its time. I don't think if it got released now, I don't think people would go for it. But it is Icewind Dale 2 for the PC.
Icewind Dale 2. So, Icewind Dale 2 was from Black Hole Studios, so that name doesn't ring a bell. It's the people that did the original Fallout games, so Fallout, Fallout 2. I think they did games like Planescape Torment as well, I think it's called, which apparently is one of the best RPGs of all time. I've got it, never played it, so it might make it onto an updated version of this list. It's a sort of party-based role-playing game. Lots of decisions, lots of different classes and customization that you can do on it. It's part of the Forgotten Realms universe as well, which again, my only experience before this was Baldur's Gate, the Dark Alliance series, but on the PlayStation 2. So I'd never played anything on a PC before. This was the first massive role-playing experience I got on a PC, and it worked on an old laptop I had. I think the game came out, this is just going off memory, I think it was early 2000s. So yeah, just quick update, it was 2002 the game came out, so that was pretty good memory. But back then I didn't really have enough money to get a good PC, so a laptop was the only thing I could afford. I did a lot of my work on it, and this ran on it. I couldn't even get Sims 2 to run on it. Somehow Icewind Dale 2 would work. But fantastic, you can customize so much in this game. Lots of, not just the classes, but the characteristics of them. Like you can see if they're lawful or evil or neutral or chaotic or whatever. You can do a mix of them. You don't have to choose one class either. You can be a barbarian that's also a bard. It's bananas. There's so many different things you can do. The story is really engrossing. Lots of people to talk to. Lots of different little side quests to go on. By the way, the tiny little one that's third from the left is me. That is Donald Mackerel. I'm not the one that's dead, or the gnome, even though I am the size of a gnome. But yeah, absolutely fantastic game. My first real experience at having PC role-playing game in my hands. So it's definitely got to make it onto the top 5 list.
Next up, at number 4. Now, this one is bananas, because this takes me back to my childhood. So when other people of my age were playing things like Sonic the Hedgehog or Mario on the NES, I did have a Sega Master System, but the game that I was playing, and that has captivated me to this day, is Ultima 4, The Quest for the Avatar.
So again, please remember that this is my top 5 favourite RPGs of all time. There's going to be quite a few people out there that have never even heard of the Ultima series, let alone the absolutely genius game that appeared on my Sega Master System when I was about 11 or 12 years old, which is Ultima 4, The Quest of the Avatar. Was it Quest for the Avatar? I think it was Quest of the Avatar. So basically, the Avatar, which is yourself, is in the land of Britannia, I think it is, with Lord British. Lord British rules over everything. Lord British is actually the pseudonym of the chap who created the game. And basically, you're trying to champion or become one with the 8 virtues of Britannia. The 8 virtues are honesty, compassion, valor, justice, sacrifice, honor, spirituality, and humility. So I've forgotten what half of those are, to be honest with you, which shows I'm not exactly I'm not exactly a virtuous boy. Yeah, I know a lot of it. They keep on asking if you're proud or not. Like, dost thou have pride? And if you say, yeah, I'm quite proud of myself, like, you are a fool. It's like, oh, I quite like being proud of myself, thank you. But anyway, so it was the first RPG I played as a little kid when I was about 11 or 12. My friend Martin Cooper had it on, shout out Martin Cooper, had it on the Sega Master System, and he was well into his RPGs. He was a few years older than me. And again, I lived in a little rural market town, so you sort of, you were limited to friends, to be fair, but I'm so glad I found Martin because he opened my eyes to a whole world of, as I say, RPGs. This game is quite, I'd say, unique nowadays in that you have to eat. So you have to buy food to survive. You have to rest at places to get your health back. Just because you find a chest, that doesn't mean you're going to have money inside. It could explode and kill you. It's such a weird game, but it's such a brilliant game. I think it's the first game as well in the Ultima series where you can attack sort of at range in more than straight lines, if you know what I mean. It used to be in the old games, you could only attack left, right, forward or backward. On this one, if it says you've got a bow and arrow and it can reach 4 blocks away, that could be 4 blocks in any direction, rather. But yeah, you start off as just yourself. You have to go around different areas trying to recruit people to join you in your quest to become more virtuous and fight the all-evil being whose name I've forgotten. And the end of the game, I never managed to achieve it, to be fair. I was only a little kid, but I never managed to achieve it. The game was that big, just for a Sega Master System game. It was that big that I never got to the end of it. You can see at the moment I'm travelling through woodlands, so again, different areas slow you down. There's poisonous areas that you can't go to yet. You have to develop armor that can get you through that, or you can take medicine to mean that you're not sick afterwards. There's so many different things to this game, like different weapons, as I say, different armor, different equipment, different skills. So, you know, a paladin, a knight, a thief, a bard, that sort of business. You can go sailing on the seas and fight sea monsters. It was absolutely amazing. And when you look at the graphics nowadays, you might go, oh, that's a bit rough. Back then, graphics didn't matter. It was all about the story, and it had such an amazing story. So definitely has to make it into my top 5 games of all time, because this opened up the worlds of RPGs for me.
So your number 4 was weird. I've pretty much had every failed console throughout time. So when the PlayStation 2 came out, I had a Dreamcast. I remember when the PS3 came out, I bought a Wii U. I remember I had the choice of buying like a used PS3 and a load of games and sort of going, oh, this would be fantastic, and delve into this. No. I went out and bought a Wii U, one of the worst consoles ever, but one of the biggest flops at the time that I had the option of buying was I could have bought a Sony PS1, I bought a Sega Saturn. The only plus side I can say for owning a Sega Saturn was it had a game that didn't appear on any other platform. It's one of the best RPGs I've ever played. It's called Mystaria, Realms of Lore. I should add a little caveat on that. In Japan, it was called Riglord Saga, and in America, it was called Blazing Heroes. But it'll always be Mystaria to me.
So this is a game that very few people will know, I'm guessing, unless you had a Sega Saturn back in the day, because I think this was a Saturn exclusive. As I say, different names for different countries, but to me, it'll always be Mystaria, the Realms of Lore, where you play a prince from the imaginatively titled place called Queensland, because your mum, the Queen, ran it. But once again, it's a bit like
the last choice, Ultima, in that you pick a party, you have to go around getting that party from different areas of the map, different kingdoms, getting them to fight against the big bad guy. I think he's called Bane in this one, if name rings a bell. Nothing to do with the Batman / DC Comics villain Bane. It's just like an evil wizard. In fun fact, actually, you get the vast majority of your party, i.e. I think you get like the first 5 or 6 people right at the start of the game, and half of those are Bane soldiers that he tries to kill and forces them to join your team just because they're in his way. So he's like, oh, get out of my way, and tries to kill them so they join your squad. This is more of a tactical RPG because again, you can move a certain amount of blocks per turn, and again, different characters can move different amounts. If you can fly, you can go obviously like over gaps or over bumps in the terrain. If you can't, you have to walk around them, so it takes longer. And again, each character has different skills and different abilities, but on top of that, there's different armor, different equipment you can have. It's really quite an engrossing game, and it's got a weird system where the more you use an attack, the more it unlocks attacks in that region for you. So if you punch somebody, say 10 times, it might go, oh, I've just learned how to do a kung fu kick. And if you kick somebody 10 times, it'll go, I just learned how to do a power punch. And then that could lead on to like suplexes and throws and things. But again, stabbing somebody with a knife could lead on to a slash or a circular slash. And it's really, really good for unlocking new moves. And again, there's certain areas that are quite tricky, so you might try those, die, and then realise you need some of these new skills to go back there and defeat these enemies, just so you can get somebody else to join your party. Really, really, really good game. And it was my first exposure to tactical RPGs, as it were. Looking back on it, the story is a bit weak. I think the translation, because it must have been Japanese originally, the translation is a bit ropey at times, but I still can play it now and still can enjoy myself. I don't know if that's nostalgia or if it genuinely is a good game, but for me, it definitely has to be in my top 5 games of all time. Well, RPG games, that is. It's going to be no surprise to anybody what number 2 is, or I don't know, it might be. It is on the Sony PlayStation 1. It is a Final Fantasy game. It's Final Fantasy 9.
Yes, it is one of the most childish versions of Final Fantasy out of the main series anyway. Obviously not one of the Chocobo or Chocobo games. I forget what they're called. There's like a dungeon game which is really, really childish. You just play a Chocobo and you just go through different layers of dungeon play. It basically is for children. This looks like it's for children. It's definitely not. The theme of the game is so heavy. Without spoiling it for you, it's about life and death. It's about making the most of whatever you can whilst you're still on this planet. It's such a brilliant game, such an amazing story. And again, for a young person to get wrapped up in this game, it tugged at my heartstrings at certain points. Really made me think about life and death and about my time on this planet. So fantastic game. Definitely better than number 8. I know people love number 8. Definitely at school at the time, most of my friends loved number 8. Never really got on with it for me. 7, of course, was brilliant. Everybody loved 7. It opened a lot of people's eyes to RPGs. I was already playing RPGs by that point, so to me it was just a good game. I must admit I was a bit underwhelmed with the Final Fantasy series. I couldn't really understand why everybody was raving about it. And then number 9 came out, which I didn't know this at the time, but apparently was more akin to the earlier Final Fantasy games. In particular, I think Final Fantasy 6 and Final Fantasy 4, which were they 1 and 2, I think, in America? I don't know. But I got told that it's the old sort of art style and the childish art style linked in more with the earlier Final Fantasy games. This, to me, though, if this game had come out on its own and it had nothing to do with Final Fantasy, I would still adore it and I'd still want to play it from start to finish. Again, this is one of the few Final Fantasy games that I actually have completed. I normally get bored and give up on them. I've not done everything. There's certain, bosses that, well, not really bosses, optional bosses I think the one is called Ozma, who just, there's no way in a million years I'm going to be able to beat it. I'm really, really not good enough tactically or as a gamer to manage to beat that. But again, what a story, what a great game. Nothing to do with the world of Final Fantasy, just a perfect game. On a side note, if I was going to add another game, not in this series but of this vein, I would have put Vagrant Story in, so you know that's not number one. So this just about pipped it for me because, again, came out on the PS1, the prime of my life, and definitely got me reinvested in playing RPG games again.
And so, the number one game, my favourite RPG of all time, you knew it was going to be on the Xbox 360. It is available on other platforms, but this was my favourite one. It's what I played it on, it's what I completed it on, and it's definitely my favourite game of all time. Not just RPG, it's my favourite game of all time. It is, of course, Fallout New Vegas. Bet you thought I was going to say Skyrim then, didn't you?
So while Skyrim is a fantastic game, and I do love Skyrim, I prefer Oblivion more, if I'm honest with you. Couldn't really get to grips with Morrowind. Too much sort of remembering things, especially for my old head. Too much remembering things to get on with that game. Fallout New Vegas, though, what a game. What a game. Quite simply, the best RPG game of all time, in my opinion. Well, in my opinion, the best game of all time. Genuinely, absolutely fantastic game from start to finish. The story of it was brilliant. The dialogue, brilliant, as in characterization of people. Absolutely everything was perfect. The morality system where you can be whatever you want to be. You can be good, you can be evil, you can be somewhere in between. You don't have to follow the main story. There's several endings to the main story, as in not just a good ending or a bad ending. There's so many different ways to play the game. The DLC all adds different bits. And again, some of the DLC is some of the creepiest stuff I've ever seen in my life. Absolutely fantastic. I did play the original Fallout games. I never completed them. I did like them though. I thought they were great games. Fallout 3, when that came out, it was a good game. It was all right, you know. It wasn't a poor game, but I don't know. It didn't recapture the magic for me. It just seemed like Oblivion with guns. When New Vegas came out, I was dubious about it. I sort of thought like, oh, it'll just be an updated Fallout 3. Yeah, it was, but it was perfect. In many ways, it's everything Fallout 3 should have been. Fantastic game. Definitely recommend it to anybody. Graphically, obviously, it's still running on that sort of Oblivion-style graphics. But as we've mentioned before, graphics don't mean a thing so long as you've got that story, and this is absolutely perfect. Yeah, if you've never played it, do play it now. I think it's on Game Pass for free. Bizarrely, the version that I'm playing at the moment, which is the Ultimate Edition on the Xbox 360, I think it's gone up to about 40 quid second hand, which is ridiculous, really. I think I bought my copy for about £3, and that was only a couple of years ago, but blimmin' heck. If you can't afford it, emulate it, illegally download it, do whatever you want to do, just play this game. It is an absolute masterclass of not just an RPG, but a game.
So, that's my top 5 RPGs. Again, did it a bit weird because I could only have one platform per RPG. So it took us through quite a journey, really. You know, we've had like the Sega Master System, the Sega Saturn, and then we've had like things like your PS1 and your Xbox 360 and PC. But what are your favourite 5 RPGs? If you can, try and pick from different platforms and try and go against the grain. If you've got an issue with any of the ones that I picked, if you think they're terrible, pop it in the comments. I will fight you, especially over Mystaria Realms of Lore. It was an absolute genius game. Don't you take my childhood away from me. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed everything today. I've been Donald Mackerel. This has been Donald Mackerel Gaming. See you all again soon.